the Ukraine, and St. Patrick's name is now Zelensky.
What do we do now?
Government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Refuse to go along with this, and I'm seeing through all of your lies, Barack Obama, you wicked, wicked devil!
Welcome to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. How's it going, AmericaShirts?
Yo ho, matey ho.
So, I was going through all my video clips here real quick. I was trying to find what I wanted to put up, for the first little run or whatever. And I come across this one and I'm like, what is this? What did I find? So now when I'm like, it's...
Back to them, or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
Fuck Joe Biden.
I'm like, oh, dang. I got some good clips,
Oh
man.
my god. I freaking love that.
Oh, that's so funny. It's great.
I wonder if the expert's seen that. He'd probably crack the hell up.
If anybody's seen it, let us know. Let us know. Say something in chat and let us know that you're with us.
Indeed.
Looks like the YouTube site is working just fine. Awesome. So I did a bunch of research today on these chickens, cows, pigs, and sheep. All these food processing mishaps that have happened in the last few years. It seems as though in the last few months, things have kind of gone up in flames a little faster than they had previously. But it's not a conspiracy theory. I have articles that show that it's not anything that's happening or whatever. It's just randomness. It's just the randomness that's happening so often that they're just like, no, there's nothing to, it's fine. It is what it is. So thanks to Mike, I asked him if there's anything that I was missing. And I had a whole bunch of articles pulled up, and he gave me a couple of them. He's like, well, you got to do these ones. So we're going to start with this one. And the reason I'm going to start with it is because of what it is. It's a Timcast article. Anybody that doesn't know who Timcast is, I mean, you kind of... I don't know what to tell you. You should go check him out. Some people like him, some people don't. He is who he is. Either way, we'll start with this article. So it says, strange trend in food processing plant. Fire appears across the U.S. At least 16 fires had broken out in food processing plants, impacting the nation's supply of beef and poultry. So, his article is, it's Timcast. That they do a fairly good job at what they do, and they actually put it together, fairly easy to read, and breaks down quite a bit fairly quick and easy. So there has been an outbreak of fires in food processing facilities across the nation in recent years, with even more in the last 6 months as food prices soar and supply chains are stressed to the limits. The fires began showing up regularly in the news after fire closed the Tyson Food meat processing plant in Kansas in 2019. The location was a primary beef processing location for the company in the U.S. supply chain, providing about 6% of the U.S. beef. After the fire, analysts began speculating that the impact would drive up market prices for meat nationwide. Dan Norsini, part of the beef and poultry trading market, said the cattle market would likely respond negatively to news of the fire. He said that long-term impact would depend on how long the plant stays closed. Then, in August of 2021, a Patak meat processing facility burned near Atlanta. The media took notice because the family-owned business is loved in its community locally, and its products are purchased nationwide. A fire in Georgia barely left a minor impact on the food supply chain nationwide, but in September, a fire at JBS USA, a meat processing facility in Nebraska, threatened the meat supply for the entire nation profoundly. The plant reportedly processes about 5% of the nation's beef, and the closure would directly impact the supply chain. The trend has continued repeatedly through the end of 2021 and into 2022. In February, Shear's food processing plant in Hermanston, Oregon, burned down, leaving 2 employees injured. On April 13th, Taylor Farm food processing plant in Salinas, California, burned and prompted evacuations. On April 19th, the headquarters of the Azure Standard Food Processing Plant in Dufort, Oregon, also burned. People are beginning to notice because fires are threatening an already stressed supply chain of food in the U.S. The trend continues. On March 16th, a massive fire wiped out much of a Walmart fulfillment center in Plainfield, Indiana. The event is severe enough to warrant the ATF to investigate. Another incident occurred on April 11th at the New Hampshire East Conway Beef Pork, when a fire so large broke out it took respondents 16 hours to extinguish. At least 16 such disasters have taken place in food processing facilities nationwide, while most of the incidents have shown no foul play. After investigation, the trend presents a curious string of events across the country. It remains to be seen that the direct impact will be still as the nation continues to face soaring food prices and trouble into supply chain operations. There could be a significant impact on the cost and availability of food for Americans. So then this is editor's note. A previous version of the article stated that the 2019 fire at Tyson meat processing plant in Kansas occurred just days before the 2021 fire in Paddock meat processing facility in Atlanta. The article has since been updated to clarify that the 2 events happened about 2 years apart. Yeah, I mean, none of this is actually, like a pattern that happened from week to week or month to month. The pattern's a lot longer than that. Like, it's been going on for a few years.
But it has picked up. In the past
Right.
6 months, it's picked up significantly to the point that it is now it's week to week.
Right, now it's picked up where it seems as though the pattern seems to have occurred a little bit more often to actually call it a pattern. So, I mean, we're not calling it a pattern. It's not something that we're just reading these articles or whatever and hashing through it or whatever. So, everybody else understands what where we're coming from. So then, again, from Mike, he had picked up a couple things for me. This one is from the FBI. Now, it's kind of an interesting little, 4-page pamphlet or whatever. It's not really like there's a whole bunch to it. Really, when you, I mean, I kind of skimmed through it or whatever, just to see what was really in here. So then, this down here, the threat. So it says, since 2021, multiple agricultural cooperatives have been impacted in a variety of ransomware variants. Initial intrusions, vectors included known as unpatched common vulnerabilities and exploits, as well as secondary infections from the exploitation of shared network resources for compromise of managed services. Production has impacted for some of the target entities, resulting in slower processing due to manual operations, while other targeted entities lost access to administrative functions such as websites and email, but did not have production impacted. A significant disruption of grain production could impact the entire food chain, since grain is not only consumed by humans, but also used as animal feed. In addition, a significant disruption of grain and corn production could impact commodities trading and stocks. An attack that disrupts processing at a protein and dairy facility can quickly result in spoiled products and have cascading effects down to the farm level, as animals cannot be processed. So I mean, what I'm catching out of this or whatever is pretty much what it's going to come down to, is these facilities that are dealing with, proteins and dairies and things, and, from, dealing with cows to dealing with just feed. It doesn't matter where it is in that chain. The second that you disrupt part of that chain of where, food comes from and goes to, you're really going to start feeling those impacts. And on top of the impacts that we're already feeling, and, cost of items going up, the scarcity of certain particular items that you liked, on a regular basis. You went to the store and those were the items that you grabbed. Also, you notice that particular item is no longer there, but there's some different version of that for you now, in the generic packaging. And it's like, oh, I really like the other brand because that's the brand that I was used to and I know what it exactly tastes like. It's kind of interesting, when you actually start putting all this together with everything else that's happening. AmericaShirts, you with me? You all right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just being sure. So then, I mean, ransomware attacks and attempts to detect different things that are going on to impact our food production can really be something. It really is kind of scary when you think about it. All this stuff that's in here, all these articles that we have here, I'm going to see if I'm going to make sure that I get all these put in the description down below. I've been slacking the last few days. I know that I don't have all the articles from yesterday put in yesterday's, which can be kind of difficult if I didn't do it right away. I should have done it right away. So, before we go too far, there is a couple of things I brought up, such as the PolitiFact and the Snoops, and what they had to actually say about what's going on, because without bringing up the Snopes and letting you know they have to say, you can kind of misconstrue what I have to say and why I am sharing this information. We don't want that to happen. So, according to Snopes, are fires at food processing plants a new trend? and it says it's misleading. The claim is the abnormal number of fires have occurred in food processing plants in 2022. They're saying this is false. It's not an abnormal number. Here's the context. This is the claim of a new trend of fires at food processing facilities does not hold up upon scrutiny. Almost all the fires on the meme list involved explained causes, and we found no examples of suspected arson. One of the included examples involved an abandoned building, while another involved a butcher shop, not a large processing facility, because the size of the facility matters. Most importantly, this trend is not new. When we search for news stories about fires in food processing plants in 2021, 2020, and 2019, we found that such fires were relatively commonplace, and there's not been any conspiracy-worthy upticks.
So, in other words, it's totally happening, and because everything that Snopes says is the opposite is true. So,
yeah, supposedly the opposite is true of what they actually fact check. So that when you actually look at it, it says that there's no uptick since 2019, 2020, or 2021 when they actually did this. So being that there's no conspiracy-worthy uptick, because it's just been happening. It's been happening for the last few years on a regular basis. It's not an uptick. It's already been happening. It just seems like it's an uptick because more and more people are becoming aware of things that are occurring. Now, we're not going to go against what this says because this is Snopes. Snopes knows what's up. So then it goes on and it says how many fires has occurred in 2022. It says, like many similar rumors that stretch the truth, there isn't one single claim to examine. The most common and repeated claim is that these fires are a new trend. While the trend claim isn't very specific, social media users have attempted to enumerate the number of recent food processing fires. One such list included 20 news articles, while another list included 18. A popular image collected various headlines related to fires at food processing plants, while a recent web article claimed that there had been at least 16 such disasters in the last 6 months. Excuse me. The exact number. What's that?
Just an inconvenient cough.
Yeah, just an
Just very
inconvenient cough.
inconvenient.
Yeah. So the exact numbers are irrelevant. We don't care the exact numbers. It could be 2, could be 3.
Could be 500.
It could be any number in between, and we're still going to look at it the same way. What's going on? Is that going to affect me? Is that going to affect you? Because if you don't realize what this is going to actually do, even though it can be a small little butcher shop on the corner, and it can be a very large facility, it doesn't matter what size that facility is. When you remove food process that's in any neighborhood that gets used on a regular basis, it'd be like the meat locker that's down the street closing down in this town that I live in. And the second that meat locker closes down, half this town does no longer eat. Because they're like, oh, where do I go get my food? Oh, I guess we go to, Walmart like everybody else. Where it's more expensive.
Yeah.
What's up?
The other thing too with this is that I've been paying attention to this for a while. I've never heard anybody say, "Oh yeah, look, see, there was a little tiny butcher shop on the first floor of a building someplace that had a fire that started someplace in the corner somewhere of the building, and then they put it out, and oh no, or like whatever the hell these people think. Like, I haven't heard anything like that at all. Like, this is just shit. Again, they claim we're misleading. No, Snopes, you mislead everyone all the time.
They really kind of do. They kind of are very misleading, and it kind of goes along with the stuff that we had talked about in the last few days or whatever. We had talked about the ministry of truth, and you know, so who gets to choose what we listen to? Oh, the government does. The government gets to choose who we listen to and who we don't listen to, and they want to actually tell us that if we have a different opinion, that our opinion sucks, and they want to just shut us down.
Yes, and if someone else tries to buy a major social media outlet that's had direct ties to the federal government, as well, you know, again, this giant corporation of social media, let's say, I don't know, Twitter, and then, you know, that gets independent now away from this conglomerate of giant corporations and state coming together, like this fascista type of, you know, government over us. As soon as that becomes independent, oh my God, we have to have, you know, the Ministry of Truth. And then, of course, now the Democrat congressmen are coming out publicly and saying that they want to bring in Elon Musk for questioning in front of Congress because they want to know what his plans are with Twitter.
So that's why I brought up the PolitiFact one, is because of Tucker Carlson. So his name comes up in this one. So it says, Fox News host Tucker Carlson added fuel by noting 2 other recent fires and asking in an April 22nd segment, what is going on here exactly? Carlson said that in the past week that small planes crashed into General Mills plant in Georgia. We actually have a clip for that particular
Oh yes, we do.
footage for what it actually has to say. So let's do that. Let's bring that up real fast, and we'll show you what Tucker Carlson had to.
Is this the one that I put up?
Yeah, this is the one that you put up.
That the volume on that one is fairly low. I tried to get it up a little bit, so
well,
you may have.
we'll do
For
what we
those
can.
who are listening, you probably have to turn up your volume a little bit more to hear everything clearly. So we shall be quiet, I
I'm
guess.
gonna make sure that I
Yes,
got
we
the
would.
right one. Let's see here. Crank it up for you. Oh, it's because it was somebody with their little phone and they were actually recording the TV. That's
Yeah.
why. The link will be down below for this particular clip. You should actually go and subscribe to that guy's channel as well. Just, you know, let him know that he's doing a good job.
Plane apparently crashed in a General Mills plant. Food plant coming to the building. Six traffic cameras reported fire. There's pictures from the scene. This is the second time in a week something like this has happened. On April 14th, the plane crashed with gems processing in East Idaho. What's going on here? The story gets weird. New processing plants all over the country seem to be.
Can you hear it, Donald?
A couple of days ago, a fire destroyed the headquarters.
Yes, like I said, it's very low, but there are
It is.
subtitles there.
It is very low, and I was thinking that I actually didn't even have it on my own, headset or whatever.
Wait, there can be subtitles from YouTube, right? Like, you can put subtitles. Look at it.
Severely damaged the fresh onion packing facility in South Texas. In Oregon, a potato chip processing plant is reported a boiler explosion in sent workers to the hospital. Here's a news report on that. Eastern Oregon, where crews are battling a major fire at a potato chip processing plant. Air 12 flew over the scene at Shearer's Foods on Highway 207 in Hermiston. We're told the fire was caused by an explosion of a portable boiler there.
I mean, that's ridiculous. You see how big that fire is, right?
But it's just a tiny little it's just like an oil fire in a butcher shop someplace in the corner. It's nothing to worry about, folks.
Taken to the
right?
So industrial accidents happen, of course. This is a lot of industrial.
So I mean, he's like, this is a lot of industrial accident that's happened here. It's that's really hard to hear. I can't barely even pick it up to even know what he's exactly saying. And I see that there's some text that's sitting there that comes across, but the text is off a little bit.
Yeah, it's delayed.
Accidents at food processing facilities at the same time the president warns about food shortages.
And of course, this guy's moving around, you know.
Host radio show.
I couldn't find another clip of it on YouTube or any place else.
Good to see you. Yeah, obviously, when something happens every so often, you obviously hope that there's no significant damage and certainly no one gets hurt. But you kind of write it off. It's not that big of a deal. Accidents happen. But when you've got well over a dozen food processing plants and warehouses getting destroyed or seriously damaged over just the last few weeks, at a time when the food supply is already vulnerable, it's obviously suspicious, and it could lead to serious food shortages. Is why some folks are now wondering.
So I mean, basically, what it's coming down to is exactly what we're telling you. Is this can actually harm just basic everyday use of food or whatever. I mean, when you start burning down multiple different buildings, whatever, whether it's an accident or not, it's going to be felt. People are going to actually feel the impact of there actually not being a processing plant that's actually producing food for us to actually eat. Like I said, that's really hard to listen to, hard to pick up.
Yeah, and so you heard him.
I can barely even hear what it was going on.
Well, if whoever had the volume up that's listening to this, if you heard him say there's two separate incidents of this. I didn't get to post this other one from Idaho in the Discord just yet, but there was the one that was from the General Mills thing that was in Atlanta in Georgia, and then a week prior to that there was a plane that crashed and hit a potato processing plant facility in Idaho.
You know
Now,
what?
That one didn't catch fire or anything. As far as
This
I'm
is
aware,
interesting.
it hit the building, and it did a lot of damage to the building and to the plane, but it didn't actually catch fire and like blow anything up. But it's still, it's like, what the hell is this? It was one person. They said it was a one man in the plane, went down, killed him, and didn't do any other damage to the plant. The plant
So
wasn't
I had
completely
so
destroyed.
many articles pulled up, like seriously, there's like 20 some odd articles. This article right here that I just so happen to have that's sitting here, so it says May 3rd, Tuesday, May 3rd, up in the corner or whatever. And here it says second, it says 2/5. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute here. When this was updated 11 hours ago. Look what they updated me with. They gave me this video that we're currently watching.
Oh, cool! It's 2 minutes.
And it's just a 2-minute little thing as opposed to it being 3, almost 4. You should
need to
still
hear everything.
go sub to that other guy. He was trying to do something, and we only do better work when we have people that are actually watching us.
This is the second time in a week that something like this has happened. On April 14th, the plane crashed into the Gem State Processing in East Idaho. What's going on here? Well, the story gets weirder. Food processing plants all over the country seem to be catching fire. A couple of days ago, a fire destroyed the headquarters of Azure Standard, one of the largest organic food distributors in the country. At the end of last month, a fire severely damaged a fresh onion packing facility in South Texas. In Oregon, a potato chip processing plant just reported a boiler explosion that sent workers to the hospital. Here's a news report on that.
Eastern Oregon, where crews are battling a major fire at a potato chip processing plant. Air 12 flew over the scene at Shearer's Foods on Highway 207 in Hermiston. We're told the fire was caused by an explosion of a portable boiler there. 2 people were taken to the hospital.
So industrial accidents happen, of course, but this is a lot of industrial accidents at food processing facilities at the same time the president's warning us about food shortages. They're getting hit by planes and catching fire. What is going on here exactly? Jason Rance hosts a radio show in Seattle and joins us to put it into perspective. Jason, good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, obviously when something happens every so often, you obviously hope that there's no significant damage and certainly no one gets hurt, but you kind of write it off. It's not that big of a deal. Accidents happen. But when you've got well over a dozen food processing plants and warehouses getting destroyed or seriously damaged over just the last few weeks, at a time when the food supply is already vulnerable, it's obviously suspicious. And it could lead to serious food shortages. That's why some folks are now wondering, well, number one, what's going on? And you've got some people speculating that this might be an intentional way to disrupt the food supply.
Wait, may I ask you to pause there really quick? Can I just ask you, I just want to nail this down so our viewers understand. There have been confirmed over a dozen disabling accidents at food plants in the last month, over a dozen.
Absolutely, and we're talking about some really significant plants. The Taylor Farms facility in Salinas.
Understand what he just said. 12 major food processing plants within 1 month. But Snopes and all the rest of these people say you're batshit for even asking a question. And then over the past 6 months...
Okay, let's listen to what he actually said again.
Some really significant plants. The Taylor Farms facility in Salinas, California was completely destroyed by a fire last week. We've had 2 major potato processing plants in Belfast, Maine and Warden, Washington that were completely gutted.
And that's what's happening in all
of the clip. But
all of these fires, they're like gutting the entire damn building, most of them. Like that major one he talked about in California, it's a huge one. Huge. Like Trump, huge. Like, that's a big one.
Yeah. Mega.
All gone. Completely
Mega
unusable.
Huge.
Burned out. Done. Like, what the hell? And then it's like, do they have any fire suppressants in the building? Like, do they have any, like, I don't know.
So apparently this screen right here is the disinformation. This one that Liz has up here, whatever, is the one that they don't like. It's the one that they have supposedly, they're saying that's not necessarily true. These are necessarily the locations of things that have happened. Shit. We can... It's a lengthy article. It kind of goes into, other things. But everybody should be paying attention to what's actually going on. So, let's see here. Other tweets and stories claim that the number of 18 plants, 20 plants, about 24 plants, or simply a number or a string. So, they're like calling out major fires. That's awesome. One day, you can be like, dude, you're famous at 2.5. One day. So, a salad packaging plant in Salinas, California is destroyed by a massive fire, while at about the same time an onion processing plant in Texas went up in flames. A plane crashed into the center of a food processing plant in Georgia and Idaho, a warehouse that burns 50,000 pounds of food, as well as an animal feed mill, a grain processing plant, a meat packing plant. They all took with them the valuable food supply of the United States. Is it just a coincidence? Just having some bad things happening at the same time? Or is it a sinister plot to starve the United States and kill a bunch of hapless eaters? Those who believe that nothing's happening by accident believe the latter, and they are spreading an emergency conspiracy theory that food processing plants across the country are being burned or destroyed as part of a concerted effort to control America's food supply. Around April 20th, a conspiracy blog of social media accounts began spreading lists of meat packing plants, food processing facilities, grain mills, and other buildings related to food packaging, which were all mysteriously burnt or were destroyed. To be clear, fires are real. The salad packaging plant in California was a major processing facility in Taylor Farms and is burned to ashes on April 13th. A few weeks ago, a fire broke out in Penobscot McCrum potato processing plant in Belfast, Maine. The light plane crashed in areas near food processing plants in Georgia and Idaho. An animal feed mill in Louisiana burned down in January, and a food bank attached to the church in Arizona went up in flames in March. Given both the number of fires and critical nature in the food processing industry, it's not hard to understand why some believed these couldn't have been coincidence. Someone had to be behind them, and whoever was probably had really bad reason for doing so. Again, this is supposedly some disinformation. I really don't know exactly if these are pointing out specific, plants that can only be, the ones that are being looked at, or if you can't look at certain ones because it doesn't, it's just a corner shop. I don't really care. What I care about is look at how close some of this stuff is to almost everybody. It's ridiculous. Like many of these other theories, the events in the list have the same origins but vary in details. Some claim 16 different plants, such as an April 21 post of a popular Christian prep site, the Economic Collapse blog. That site provides a list of 16 major fires that had occurred in major food industry facilities in the U.S. since the beginning of 2022, warning that the collective loss of all these facilities may make coming food shortages a little worse. Will give. Other tweets and stories claimed the number was 18 plants, 20 plants, about 24 plants, or simply a number or a string. The theory became especially powerful when it mixed with current supply chain issues and the conspiracy theory that Bill Gates is buying up most of the American agricultural land for his own evil purposes. Throw some tweets about how they're not allowed to talk about this in the media and don't want you to know, and you have a powerful list biased conspiracy theory that touches the real food insecurity issues that make paranoia happen.
I mean, this person's literally just describing reality itself, and then it's like, oh my God, it's a conspiracy. Like, I mean, Bill Gates is literally buying all this up. I mean, we've been over this how many times? Like,
right, several
and then
times.
people sit there and go like, well, gee, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's no food processing plants left around. Gee, how much more is food going to cost? And am I going to actually even get food if it does even arrive? If it costs too much? It's like, oh wait, but no. That's a conspiracy to even think about it. And then it's like, oh gee, and then you bring out the fact that they're not allowed to talk about it on the media, and then you have a huge, weird, broad... Well, what do you mean? What are you talking about? They're not allowed to talk about it in the media. Yeah, isn't that kind of, interesting? Maybe we should, go like, oh, gee, they're not even allowed to ask questions in the media about this stuff without getting in trouble? Huh. Oh, but no, it's all. See, like, if you just put this thing of reality together with this thing in reality, then you have this idea of, like, some people are, like, conspiring together to, like, destroy the food supply. Like, but you literally just named off all these things that are happening in real time at the same time. Like, it's just like, my God, it's like, gee, the conspiracy is that, the sky is blue and the grass is green, and when you put the thing together with, like, the grass has chlorophyll in it, and, like, the sky has, like, these gases that the sun hits, and then, like,
birds
the
aren't
tractor's
real.
blue, and it's like, I mean clearly, guys, this is just a conspiracy. The clouds are not in the sky, the sky's not blue, and the grass is not green just because the grass has chlorophyll in it. And, like, you just sit there and just describe the entire means by which the grass is green and the sky's blue, but it's just a conspiracy. It's like, what the hell? Like, you're literally reading off the entire thing of reality, what's happening right now in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm. So then let's continue with this real quick here. It says, at this time, there's no evidence of coordinated attack in the U.S. food supply. Fires are mostly accidents caused by equipment issues. Food processing plant fires are not uncommon, with several dozen incidents occurring each year at more than 25,000 food processing facilities nationwide. More than 24 snoops were found that happened only in 2019. And many of the fires making up the various lists actually happened in 2021, leading to the misconception that there are more fires in less time.
Stop it. What time in 2021 there? Was it towards the end of the year in 2021?
Why does it matter what time it actually happened? Be like, oh, it happened at midnight that day, and that one doesn't count.
Well, right, exactly, right. But I mean,
why doesn't it count? What does it? We're not saying that we're trying to say that there's a conspiracy that there's going to be food shortages because of this is happening. We're not saying conspiracies at all. All we're saying is if you actually look at the freaking words that are in front of your face, you actually see that there's all this stuff that's happening in all these different places, and it's going to affect everybody. Not just one person or two people or just a town or just a neighborhood. This is going to have big, massive impacts across the world. There's no way that this is not going to have, I mean, maybe not across the world, maybe just across the United States. I'm not going to throw conspiracy out there. I don't really know. All I know is that this is happening, and there's several of them that are burning for industrial accidents.
But see, the other aspect of this is too is like, okay,
don't care
so
why.
If they burned, can they reuse the building? Can they build back the building? Almost all of these, the building is completely burned out. It's completely down. They can't use it. That's the differentiation here. Like, 25,000. There's fires that break out.
It's like back in the day when they first decided to start building food processing facilities. They're like, we won't worry about putting in, fire alarms or detectors or anything because it's nothing that we're
and just
ever
let
going to
the
need.
fire consume
We're
the entire building.
it's fine. It's fine. Fuck, man.
I mean, you see how this is all manipulated? Like, I mean, this is all just twisted to be like, oh, see, but like, you should question yourself because you can't think for yourself and you can't see this. You just see a picture of an entire building at the beginning of this article, like burning all to hell. Like the whole damn thing is gone. The entire thing. Well, things like that happen all the time. Bitch, if that happened every damn year, we wouldn't have food processing plants in this country. They'd all be gone.
Right?
I mean, it's like, what the hell? Like, do you think
So
we're all
here,
that
catch
goddamn
this.
stupid?
Catch this. This is of the fires that occurred in 2022 so far, they either caused little or no damage or haven't already been cleared as suspicious. For example, the Taylor Farms fire, while catastrophic, would not put the company at risk and was thought to be triggered by a welding accident.
Wait.
Hold on, let me finish the paragraph. The fire at the main potato plant was caused by a faulty deep fryer. Nothing strange is happening here, except in times of coincidence, the experts don't believe the American food supply is at risk. It may not, in your mind, be at risk, but when you burn down accidentally welding accidents and faulty deep fryer accidents, I get it. You have to quality control your food. How long has this deep fryer been around? And why is it still in use?
And then why is it going off along with everything else all at the same time?
Right. Why is
like what the hell?
Who is using it that was actually being, reckless and wasn't paying attention to what they were doing? That they actually started food on fire.
But notice what he says at the beginning of this article, right? He says, of the fires of 2022 so far, they have either caused little damage or they've been cleared from being suspicious. For example, the Taylor Farms fire, while catastrophic. Well, wait a
Right.
minute. What the
It
hell?
was still-
you
it was
just
still
says it caused
catastrophic.
little damage, but then you go the next sentence and say it was catastrophic. But no, it doesn't classify as catastrophic because, the company's not at risk. Well, who gives a damn about the money that the company has? The whole damn building's gone. You can't process
Right.
food there
Now they're
anymore.
not processing
whole
any
damn point.
food. Right. So now that whole neighborhood, estate, whatever, is having massive food issues because now they don't have the stuff coming out of this plant. They have
it's
to
not just
go off
potato
of a
chip
different
factories
plant
like
that's
this guy
actually
wants to
now
make it out.
producing for their state.
Right.
Which is reducing the product and the other blah blah blah. It's just
On down the chain.
right. Just a big, huge chain of fuckery.
And it's not just simply potato fryers at a potato chip factory like this guy wants to make it out to be. I mean, we're talking raw foods processing. We're talking farming raw foods and putting it into processing plants. We're talking grains. We're talking potatoes. We're talking onions. We're talking like actual foods that they go in, that they process, they cut up, they do whatever, and then they take it to the grocery store. Like that's the whole chain of food
So
for the
I
United
mean,
States.
do you know your town? Like to a point where you know where the grocery store is, you know where the meat locker is, you know where the meat locker gets their food from. You know, I mean,
Yes, the grocery store elves.
oh yeah, the little elves that run around
Yes,
and
the
just
elves.
magically restock the shelves every
Exactly.
morning. I used to work at a grocery store, and they're not little magical elves. We actually work our butt off, and we make sure that we empty a truck on a daily basis.
I don't believe you.
Yes, on a daily basis. There's a
don't
new
believe you.
truck that comes in.
I refuse.
Not always does
I
it have a f-
believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and the grocery store elves. I think you're just a liar. You don't want me to believe.
Well, you know, I'm not trying to throw conspiracy theories at you. I'm just letting you know how I feel. So, so okay, let's see what this. Just before the article or before the thing that we listened to, it says, but the sheer number of fires combined with the virginity of the list was enough to shove the conspiracy theory into the popular consciousness.
What the
Google
hell?
Trends data shows that a search traffic for related terms increased from almost nothing in April 19th to nothing by April 20th in a huge trend. The next night, Tucker Carlson devoted a portion of his Fox News show to a mysterious plane crash in Covington, Georgia, when a light plane went down in a row of trailers parked near the local General Mills plant that morning and crashed.
Oh my God. I mean, listen to the beginning of this, right? He says the sheer number of fires combined with the virginity of the list. So you know what that means. He's saying is that, well, the sheer number of them combined with people putting them on a list and then spreading it out and, you know, telling other people about it, that caused a chain reaction of conspiracy. That's literally spreading news. Like you're
Right,
finding
it's
news. and you're
literally
spreading
how news is actually spread.
That's
Right.
literally, he's literally describing it. Oh, it's like, oh, guess
not
what? We've
that
just
we're
found
saying
out.
Tucker Carlson is the best news reporter in the world, but you know, he's not any worse than any of the other pieces of crap that are out there spreading disinformation on their channel.
I mean, this person just has to be gaslighting at this point.
Yeah,
like this
that's
is just
exactly
insane.
what it is.
Just
Noted
completely-
the plane did not actually crash into the plant itself, but Kieran in the Carlson section explicitly said he did, and adding the incident to a growing list of fires and accidents at plants across the country was too tempting to resist. So because it didn't crash into the building specifically, it doesn't get added to the list. It crashed into a row of trailers that was nearby, which caused fire to actually reach the food processing plant. So it's not an actual fire of the food processing plant.
How about like fuck the person who ever wrote this, and they can go screw themselves and burn in hell? How
Let's
about
see.
that?
Let's go back up here real quick. We'll just kind of, because we know where we were. Let's see who actually wrote this. This is from the News Nation World. It's right from the Nation World news desk.
Well, then you all can go F yourselves.
Every single one of them, the whole conglomerate of people that work there, every single one of them, they're all, their names on this. Hey, all this is crazy stories shown up in context. These would be looked at as targeted attacks on our food supply. And that's pretty much, that's exactly what we're going
Yes,
through, Jimmy.
out
We're
of
talking about
context, it's
targeted
like-
attacks on our food supply.
It's like, gee, last week a plane crashed into here, and then another plane crashes into here, and then, oh, shit!
Right.
Just 2 days ago, there was a fire at another one. It's like, oh, but you know what? If we showed it out of context, which means, like, within the, like a growing number
So
of news
why
stories
didn't
of these
he
coming
pull
together.
up some tweets that actually had some blue check marks? He just pulled up some randoms that he's like, none of these have blue check marks. So their thoughts don't matter. And let's just throw their thoughts out there. Plane just crashed into major food processing plant. What the hell is going on? Food processors being destroyed everywhere. And I mean, it's exactly what's happening.
Go arrest
everywhere. Everywhere. Yeah, go arrest that guy. He's got thoughts.
Cannot be allowed.
This article, like you can see, it really gets extensive. There's so much that it goes and covers, and I'm not going to read any more of it because look at here, what it actually starts covering is it starts covering the coof and other things that have to go along with it, and it's going to start throwing other things that I don't believe in. So thank you for giving us this shitty ass article, Nation World News Desk. Go F off with that crap. Let's see what else. What else did I bring up here? This is from posted as of the 2nd, updated at 1:37 p.m. Central Standard Time. The Daily Dot.
The Daily Dot.
So, the Daily Dot. Was some Shutterstock image, nothing major for the image. This is Mike
the same one being
Rothschild.
passed around. Rothschild.
Yeah, Mike Rothschild. Posted as of the 2nd, updated as the 2nd at 1:37 p.m. What's up, Grimsbar? What's up, man? How's it going? Must have had a good
how is
night
his
at
name
work.
called? ROTHS. ROTHS.
Child. Rothschild.
Oh my God.
ROTHSCHILD.
Mike? Is that what it says?
Mike Rothschild. This is this is at the Daily Dot. So this is a satellite packaging plant in Salinas, California. Oh, it starts out the same exact way as the last one did. Kind of make you wonder a little bit. On break. Ooh, ASMR. You like that? Whisper nice and soft in your ear for you. Oh, look, it's got the same pictures. It's got the same... Oh, look, it's the same freaking article.
Just being passed around by a
Isn't
Rothschild.
that strange? A Rothschild just goes and creates and draws up an article
Don't
that
believe
says
any conspiracy
exactly the
theories.
same thing as the last...
And
What?
the same exact article
Does
being
he
passed around
does he
from place to
work
place
for
by
the Nation
freaking
World News
Rothschild.
Desk? Barticles. What's Boticles? But you notice that you see that? I'm like, oh, that's fun. I'm gonna pull out this other article, see what's in this one. This one brings up the same exact ridiculous bullshit, has the same tweets, has the same verbiage, doesn't go off of any word at all. It's exactly the same article. So it makes me wonder if Mike Rothschild actually works for
I'm looking up his name. He's written
Nation
for
World
NBC.
News Desk.
He's written for NBC and like a bunch of other different outlets for things. But hey, you know, everybody has the last name of
But
Rothschild. What the hell?
it was the only reason that I brought that up was because I'm like, oh, this is the same exact freaking
written
article.
by a literal Rothschild. Don't believe anything of like anything happening or going together by conspiracies. Written by a literal Rothschild who goes around and writes news articles for all these different outlets.
Bot articles.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly, Grim. Bot articles. But the fun one was we actually figured out who actually had something to do with it, and it was this guy here, Mike Rothschild, that actually wrote this article. And he went and he shared it out to the nation world. Right? They just copied and pasted this shit. And it's exactly what it is. It's a bot article. But the interesting is that this guy goes and puts his name on it.
Actually,
he's the
what
actual.
Did he do? Did he put a? Let me look at this again.
Check the
This is a
R, but it's a bunch
documentary
of.
that he did?
So, either way, like I said, it was the same article, and I'm like, what? You got to be kidding me! But this one actually has this guy's name on it. So, I got so much here. This is
By Mike Rothschild, The Storm is Upon Us. The something anon conspiracy, written for the Times UK that he wrote, and then he wrote something else for NBC after that.
Now our verified team is looking into claims about fires after several U.S. food processing plants went up in flames in recent months.
Oh my
WCNC
God!
Charlotte's Megan Bragg looks into what we
Kill
know
me
about
now.
the circumstances tonight.
Recent fires at food processing plants across the U.S. have several people speculating online if something else is behind them. This tweet notes a, quote, odd coincidence that, quote, 18 U.S. food processing facilities burned down in the last 6 months. The question that we're looking at today are people setting food processing plants on fire intentionally in order to create a food shortage? Let's verify. Our sources, Sam Gage-Jack, the communications manager for the American Association of Meat Processors, Sarah Little, the vice president of communications for the North American Meat Institute, Tom Super, the senior vice president of communications for the National Chicken Council, fire officials in each case, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, otherwise known as the USDA. In a statement, Little told us, quote, we are not aware of any concerted effort to set food processing facilities on fire. Super told us, quote, I can only speak for chicken, but like any manufacturing plant industry, there are genuinely a few fires that occur each year across the country. Most of them are contained rather quickly.
Stop. I can only speak for chickens, but there's potato and grain processing plants being lit ablaze that'll never be able to be used again ever because they're all burnt down to hell. So it's like, oh, but I can only speak for chickens, the lady says. So the news station verifies that, yes, indeed. I mean, it's like, what the hell?
It's a conspiracy by Big Peter.
Gage-Jack agrees.
We've not seen anything that points to it being suspicious in any way. A lot of them seem to be mechanical failures or just very unfortunate things that happened, but nothing that was deliberate.
So let's break down the number on what we learned from fire officials. 11 of the fires were either ruled accidental or no foul play was suspected.
So?
6 others are still under investigation. The other one was at a vacant building that once housed a meat plant but no longer does. Another note, while the tweet mentions 18 fires in 6 months, only 12 of them actually happened in that time frame.
According to a report from the USDA, the U.S. has about 36,000 food and beverage processing establishments in operation. Gage-Jack says fires at just 18 plants would not cause a disruption to the food supply.
So these individual fires, I mean, they might be disruptions for regular customers of those
That's
facilities.
exactly what we're doing, Graham. We're rolling.
The public as a whole shouldn't have seen any major differences.
Super says, quote, there are about 200 federally inspected chicken slaughtering plants in the U.S. and thousands more that further process chicken. And that's just chicken. I would not categorize this as an alarming trend. On its website, the USDA says there are currently no food shortages or widespread disruptions of the food supply in the country. So we can verify that no, people are not setting food processing plants on fire intentionally in order to create a food shortage. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
No, people are not setting food processing plants on fire intentionally in order to create food shortage. I believe you. I believe you. It's exactly what's happening. This is not intentional. It's just happening. Because the people that you're employing apparently are not smart enough to run the machines or functions proper to actually get the job done correctly without starting a fire.
That completely guts.
It doesn't matter
building.
how the fire was started. It's that it's no longer existent. Stupid motherfuckers.
And be sure to send any claims you see out there our way. You can email us at
We've all seen Chicken Run documentary. Yeah, foul play suspected. That's a good one. So, I mean, I'm not even going to read the article because we just listened to the video of everything that pretty much happens in the article.
And they can all go straight to hell because they're all a bunch of damn liars. Holy hell. It's like, oh, I mean, let's ask Joe Schmo down the street who just tried to kill a cat and eat it because he was so damn hungry and high off his ass. Hey, what's going to happen? I mean, you might as well do that. I mean, at this point.
You know the premise of the Chicken Run, right? The claymation movie from the 90s.
I have no damn clue what the hell Grimsbar is talking about. I'm so pissed.
He doesn't know what Chicken Run is, Grim. It was, you know what Gumby was like? You know, claymation stuff?
Yes, I know what that is.
Okay, yeah, it's exactly what Chicken Run was like or whatever, and it was kind of a ridiculous movie. So, anyway, down further in this article, I'm not going to read the whole article, I was just going to go through this part of it. It says, here's what to know about the fires. Shirts you're going to learn today. Uh-oh. Grim's going to teach you about the Chicken Run. Are you
They're
ready
making
for
chickens
that?
run now, that's for damn sure.
Are you ready? Are you ready for that? So on April 19th, 2022, April 19th, 2022, it was about chickens trying to escape from a farm slaughterhouse that burned the place down. Yeah, I mean, we're learning about it right now. Here's what we know about the fires. On April 19th, 2022. So April 19th, 2022. How long ago was that from today? $15 days? Give or take? Couple weeks? Because it's May 3rd, right? Yeah, okay. So a couple weeks. A fire destroyed the headquarters of Azure Standard, a distributor of organic foods in Defer, Oregon. On April 13th, 3 days before that, a fire destroyed a Taylor Farms processing facility in Salinas, California. We have all these articles for the most part. On April 12th, 2022, according to the East Conway Fire Department, a fire destroyed an East Conway beef and pork butcher shop and slaughterhouse in Conway. On March 24th, a fire destroyed a potato processing plant in Belfast, Maine. On the 16th of March, a fire caused extensive damage to the new production line dedicated to Hot Pockets at the Nestle plant in Jonesboro, Arkansas. On February 22nd, a propane boiler explosion caused a fire that destroyed the Shears Food potato chip plant in Northeast Oregon. On February 15th, 2022, a fire destroyed a building that caused destroyed a building that used to be the home of the Bonanza Meat Company in El Paso, Texas. According to the fire department there, the building was not in use at the time of the fire. Regardless of who gives a shit why or when.
I mean, does it tell us that it could have been used? Was it in the process of being bought? I mean, but no, we don't get any context in that nature.
Right, no context because you don't need any. On February 3rd, this is still 2022, Madison, Wisconsin, a fire destroyed part of Wisconsin River meat site in Mauston. January 13th, according to KALB, an explosion and fire damaged the Cargill Nutrina plant in LeCompte, Louisiana. On January 6, 2022, a fire did extensive damage to a poultry processing plant in Hamilton, Ontario, according to CHCH-TV. That's just in 2022, since they put this article up.
And how many of them were either partially or fully destroyed? Like
it doesn't matter. All of them. It doesn't really matter how extensive the damage was, as long as there was some damage. That part of that plant is now no longer operational until it gets either fixed or tore down and replaced. Over and over again. So what's Grim got going on here? Let's see. It's about chickens trying to escape. Award-winning DreamWorks animation from the Aardman team, telling the story of a band of chickens doomed to a life of egg laying in the Yorkshire chicken farm. When a flamboyant American rooster arrives on the scene, the hens hope he can teach them to fly to freedom. Maybe related to Russian hacking of the machines. Wonder if they're connected online for monitoring. Good question.
I don't think those were connected, but
no. But it worked out. If I read it the way it did, we could get the words out without people knowing what we're talking about. So that's just another. So you can see that this actually goes on through January of 2021, and it lists off the rest of the places that had gone up in flames, been set on fires for somehow, some way in 2021. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them.
And look at and look. It starts in there it is. Starts in January, then April, then July, then August, September, November, December, and it just starts to pick up, and then into the next year it just keeps going.
Right.
That's exactly how it.
There's no conspiracy on extensive fires anywhere. Nope. None. None at all. Let's do this one. Maybe related to... Oh, no. We're not going to read that one again. A string of fires destroys food processing facilities across America. Published April 21st by this guy, Mr. Neil Campbell. Vision Times. I really didn't care about the whole thing or whatever, because it kind of covers some of this, the Azure Standard headquarters, the Taylor Farms, and that was in California, the Gem State Processing, the Maricopa Food Pantry. March 28th, Maricopa Food Pantry, a local food bank in Arizona, lost 50,000 pounds of food.
And by the way, this is important to this place because this is Arizona. It's you know what Arizona is, right? It's like a freaking desert.
Right.
So you have a bunch of people living in a centralized area in large part in some of these cities and stuff. And so if you have the population of people there that can't afford food, so now all of their food in that centralized area is now gone.
Right.
that for people who can't afford the food because it's a food pantry.
Right, exactly. And that's what it's. 50,000 pounds worth of food in the fire that occurred just 15 minutes after
AKA
the food
shite
bank
ton.
closed. Company president Mike Connolly described the blaze as a 40 to 50 feet in the air, just pure black smoke engulfed the entire neighborhood. The article at the time stated that the cause of fire was unknown, but paraphrased Connolly as positing trailers with more than 100 gallons of diesel fuel to refrigerate food made it much worse. You'd think hundreds of gallons of diesel that you used to refrigerate the food made it much worse.
Well, no
How worse do you think that's going to be? Arizona Central cited CEO Jim Scholf for stating that 15,000 pounds of meat and 40,000 pounds of canned goods and other commodities were lost in the blaze. So it's not that they lost 50,000 pounds worth of food. They lost a hell of a lot more than that. Why do they keep on rounding things to zeros? Because it makes it easier for them to actually put it down on a piece of paper. Because you can read 50,000 pounds.
And manipulate it to use.
But if you actually read it as 55,000 pounds, you're like, holy man, that's a lot more food than what they actually told me. So then, Shearer Foods, on March 22nd, Tri-City Herald reported that Shearer Foods' potato chip plant in Hermanson, Oregon, was gone after a boiler explosion and subsequent fire annihilated the facility. This one we kind of already sort of hit on a little bit or whatever because
and by the way,
Shearer
can I
Foods.
just say the commonality between these two that we have right here? Both of them have like literal fire starter right there inside the facility. Diesel fuel and giant oil tanks that are hot.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to do too much work to get that place going. If you know what I'm saying.
When it puts one word of gone, I mean, the facility's gone. It was gone.
It was there, and then it just poof. It was
just
gone.
Gone.
It's gone. It's everywhere.
The webpage for the local lawyer commencing legal proceedings against the company on behalf of the two of the injured staffers alleged the boiler was an inherently dangerous, defective product apparently owned by a third party. Why? Why don't they own their own boilers? Why would they go through a third-party facility to actually, make these things? That's just stupid. Who in the right mind? The firm further alleges that the boiler is utilized to power fryers for kettle chips, and that it was installed in a hallway rather than an enclosed boiler room. So you're letting a third party come in and install this stuff, and they're not even putting it in a particular room that would, make it safer for, anything. Just who gives a shit? Just slap it in the hallway. It's all good. It added, the company manufactures Shearer, Kettle, Frito-Lay, Delicious, and Vista branded snack foods, as well as several private label brands including Walmart and Costco, and brings in estimated revenues in the range of $500 million a year. Well, not anymore, because it's gone. Like it said in the first sentence, gone.
Yep, he gone.
Just gone.
That's the great Phil
Far
Robertson
from
would say,
isolated
right?
incidents, there's also several additional instances of similar calamities in recent weeks. On March 31st, Texas-based Real Fresh suffered a fire that severely damaged an onion processing facility. Local media outlet KRGV reported the site employed 300 people and that hundreds of thousands of warehouse space and structure were damaged from the fire. One staff member was quoted in stating, "If I had to guess, anywhere from 50 to 100 truckloads of onions were lost in the fire. You can see them still burning in the distance."
Think about that.
50 to 100 truckloads?
We're talking a I'm assuming this is tractor trailer.
Yeah, semi-trailer.
Yeah,
right.
semi. Like, I mean...
Right. You just use all the different verbs so that everybody understands what we're saying. 100 of them.
They're all there to be
That's
processed.
a lot of onions. You notice your price of onions going up.
Oh yeah, but see, like the onion powders and stuff that people make, and the seasonings that people make. I mean, that goes in all kinds of different processed foods that people consume, and so all the prices of those foods will go up, whether they go up several cents or $1 or whatever. You know, because it costs extra, because now the supply of onions has gone down, and because the supply of onions, not only has the supply of onions gone down, but the processing plant to process those said onions into the thing in which you add to your food, that is no longer in existence in this particular area. So now it costs more because you've thinned out the workforce, or the place in which the workforce could even work. So, anyways,
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
There are also several additional instances of similar calamities in recent weeks. March 31st, Texas-based Rio Fresh suffered. I read all that, didn't I? One staff member was quoted stating, "If I had to guess, there'd be 50 to 100 truckloads." On March 16th, a massive fire wiped out much of a Walmart fulfillment center in Plainfield, Indiana, an event serious enough that it brought in the ATF to investigate. For New Hampshire East Conway beef and pork, disaster struck on April 11th when a fire broke out, serious enough that it took respondents 16 hours to extinguish. Local news outlets, however, described the company as merely a local butcher shop. 2 cows were lost in the disaster. So the New Hampshire's East Conway beef and pork is just a little butcher shop. So, no big loss.
Meanwhile, like the
Just
entire rest
the
of the country
neighborhood
is
just
burning
gets
down.
to starve.
Well, yeah, that too. And who was this written by? Asia News or whatever? What the hell is this?
Neil Campbell from Vision Times.
Vision Times.
So I don't just go and pull up the most popular articles and be like, well, let's just go and hit this one because that's what it is. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find some weird, strange shit from some random people, and we're gonna share all this information. We got a little ways to go here.
Give people the transmission.
So this is Western Standard.
I tried that.
This lady is Melanie Risden. The Western Standard. So straight out, it says exclusive food shortages magnified by a string of destroyed food processing facilities. Last Thursday, firefighters contended with a massive blaze in California's Taylor Farm plant. That same day, an airplane crashed into Idaho's Gem State processing facility. Published 1 week ago, April 23rd. So when she says last Thursday, she's saying the Thursday before the 23rd of April. So, a couple weeks ago when this all occurred. Editor's note, the Western Standard has covered the instance of destroyed fire processing facilities globally within the last 2 years in a separate article. I do have that article. We can actually go through that as well if we feel the need. Food shortages have been exacerbated by a string of fires, plane crashes, and explosions at nearly 24 food processing facilities across Canada and the U.S. The most recent happened on Thursday in Georgia when a small plane crashed shortly after takeoff in a General Mills plant just east of Atlanta. 2 occupants of the plane were killed in the crash. I'm interested in the 2 occupants, if the 2 occupants are actually somebody, or if they were just, a couple occupants. A massive fire on Monday night destroyed parts of the Azure Standard headquarters in Oregon, a company that self-describes the USA's largest independent food distributor. The company said basically, any liquid product, such as honey, oil, and vinegar, will be out of stock due to the fire, reported by Vision Times.
Oh, that's the one we just read.
That's the one that we just read.
Oh.
The company also said it lost a fruit packaging and carob product facility in the blaze, but said the effects will be minimal as fruit harvesting season hasn't started yet. Oh, well, good, lucky for them. On Thursday, firefighters contended with a massive blaze at the Taylor Farms packed salad plant in Salinas, California, a key agricultural region 177 kilometers south of San Francisco. The fire broke out late Wednesday night. I mean, where are we that we're talking kilometers? I mean, come on. The same day, an airplane crashed in Idaho's Gem State processing facility, a plant said to process 18,000 acres worth of potatoes each year. The pilot of the plane did not survive. However, no employees were injured. On April 13th, firefighters from several departments of Maine helped battle a massive fire that destroyed East Conway Beef Pork Butcher Shop. Investigators did not indicate what caused the fire. I mean, they just keep on, there's so many things that have occurred. The frozen
within
food
a
plants.
very recent history, within days, if not just weeks of each other.
Right, within the last few weeks. And how many people have actually heard of this? How many people have actually paid attention to the news at all that actually had anything to say about this?
Well, I can tell you one thing, thanks to Tucker Carlson, millions of people have heard about this. So thank God for Tucker
because
Carlson.
of Tucker Carlson, right. But if I went out and I did the research, I was looking around. I was looking for all this information on all these little fires that have occurred and where they are and what's going on, how I can actually read about them. And as I'm doing so, not a single big name, nothing out of the AP, nothing out of the New York Times.
No. The AP is busy videotaping Ukrainian soldiers arresting and hauling people away to prison camps because they said something against Russia. And they filmed it, and then they posted it everywhere, and then they said, oh, look, see, this is good that the Ukrainian army is busting into people's homes and arresting people. Look, see, our AP cameras are here. They said something bad on social media. Good. They go to jail. That's what the Associated Press is doing. They don't give a shit about you. They want you to live under dictatorship. That's what the hell they want.
So it says that it announced plans for $100 million expansion last year. I mean, so now that it's destroyed, are they still going to expand? Are they just going to remove what they what they need to remove to actually make this facility what it needs to be? Are they going to put it in proper fire alarm system and whatever?
One would assume that a fire check would be done at the very least once a year, so things like this don't happen. Because it's a giant food processing plant. How many workers work there? What if that would have happened while workers are there? But conveniently, all these things are happening while workers either aren't there or, in the middle of the night or something. And then it's just like, oh, gee, it's gone. It's gone. It's, oh, that's interesting.
So, I mean, the article does kind of go through a lot of the stuff that we've
At least that's what
covered.
it seemed like to me.
Right. So, I mean, then here's the Maricopa Food Pantry with the 55,000 pounds of food. In February, a portion of Wisconsin River meats destroyed to fire. In Boston-based company, old portion of the plant was total loss in the fire. Another fire in February sparked a boiler explosion at a potato chip plant south of Hermiston, Oregon. Sent several people to the hospital with minor injuries. A third fire in February caused the Louis Dreyfus Company's Claypool, Indiana soybean processing and biodiesel plant, the largest fully integrated soybean processing plant in the U.S. I mean, not saying that eating soybeans is really the best thing for us, but, you know, when you're actually dipping into biodiesel fuel plants, you know, I mean, way to keep us green. Yeah. A blaze of poultry processing plant in Hamilton region of Ontario in January caused extensive damage but caused no injuries. The multiple fire alarm was reported by Global News will cost millions in repairs. Firefighters responded to a fire in January in the Cargill Neutrino plant in LeCompte, Louisiana. The fire took more than 12 hours to put out. The fire in December caused more than $100,000 damage in San Antonio food processing plant. In November, a fire engulfed the Maid-Rite Steak Company food processing plant in Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania, and reported ABC affiliate news station WNEP. The cause of the fire was ruled an accident. So just because it's an accident, no big deal. It still happened. It still happened. Regardless to what the reason is and why it happened, it's continuously happening over and over and over and over again. Why is there nobody that's actually going into these facilities beforehand and making sure that everything's okay? I've worked in plenty of factories, and plenty of factories where we actually have OSHA come through on a yearly basis and do what they need to do to make sure that we're in compliance of what we need to be within compliance of. Putting guards on grinders to what, it doesn't matter what it is. Just anything and everything they come through and they take care of.
So in other words, at a major a facility that provides food to the entire nation, that would require that you would have things in place to stop massive fires from burning the entire building out.
Right,
from the inside.
exactly. You'd think that they would have like OSHA or whatever come through and check on them on a regular basis to make sure that everything's okay and this stuff isn't going to happen.
But hey,
and
the FBI won't
an
investigate.
accident.
Right? Like, the FBI is
No.
not going to investigate
They don't care.
and be like, gee, you know, like, what the hell is happening here? Gee,
They're
like, we have all of these
they're like,
facilities
what? There's a
going down.
laptop somewhere? What are you talking about?
Yes, exactly. Meanwhile, we got to go after
You know,
those
what are you
conservators and
talking-
Republicans, and people who talk about like liberty on Twitter, or talk about like, hey, we'd like to have some freedom, a little bit more than you all are giving us. Oh no! We're gonna go after you, and we're gonna try to prosecute you and put you in jail. We're gonna send out a memorandum from the State Department and the Department of Homeland Security stating that you all are domestic terrorists, and then we're just gonna like wage this domestic war against our own people. But what the hell? In the meantime, we're going to let all this burn down, and we're not going to investigate this at all because, we're the FBI. We're the Federal Bureau of Investigations. We have nothing better to do than the globalists' bidding of whatever the hell they tell us to do. As soon as George Soros says that Xi Jinping is just like Mr. Leader of the Third Reich from World War II with a mustache under his nose, as soon as George Soros says that about Xi Jinping and insults Xi Jinping, now the FBI director comes out and says, okay, maybe we can talk about the Chinese infiltration of this country. No freaking shit. So until the globalist leaders tell the FBI, and until their dear leaders of the FBI themselves tell them that they can look into this, no one's going to do this. And of course they're not going to look into this because they want this to happen because, we talked about this before, right? Bill Gates, he needs a little depopulation going on there.
Okay, so I'm going to move on here a little bit. So this is a blaze at the poultry processing plant in Hamilton region of Ontario in January caused extensive damage but caused no injuries. Firefighters responded to a fire in January of a cargo neutrino plant in the first took about 12 hours to put out. The fire in December caused over $100,000 damage in San Antonio. A fire in mid-September at a JBS USA beef processing plant in Grand Island, Nebraska halted operations in a facility that typically processes about 6,000 head of cattle daily. Although the fire damaged a portion of the facility, the company at the time released a statement that said the fire did not impact the primary production area. Another raging fire in August of 2021 severely damaged the Patak meat production company in Austell, Georgia. According to the company's customer service department, Patak meat production is operating at a much reduced capacity, but hopes to complete repairs in the coming months and will regain full operational capacity. In July, firefighters battled a large fire in River Valley Ingredients plant in Huntsville, Alabama. Another fire in the Kellogg factory in Memphis, Tennessee was determined to be an accident and no injuries were reported. Dozens of crew were called to help fight the fire due to the brutal heat. The cause of the fire in April 2021 in the Smithfield food plant in Monmouth, Illinois was unknown according to whatever in Galesburg. Although the fire in January 2021 destroyed meat manufacturer and packager Deli Stars production facility in Fayetteville, Illinois, and in February 2022, it's opened a new plant in St. Louis. Longview News Journal reported in January, police did not consider the fire suspicious. Why are we concerned about it being suspicious or not? That's not the case. Nobody's concerned about why the fires happened. We're just concerned that they actually did happen, and they're now limiting food being distributed across the United States. Oh, wow.
Oh,
nice little bad little dream. He's got a mom. Any additional disruptions in the food industry and the food processing industry will create a ripple effect. Anything that affects product availability will put upward pressure on food inflation. This is why Canada and the US are seeing skyrocketing prices. That's part of it, right? Less consumer choice and makes products more expensive. Clement said that he doesn't believe Canadians will go hungry, but said anything affecting food distribution could potentially reduce product quantity on store shelves and create what he called shrinkflation. He explained shrinkflation is when there's a particular type of food shortage, consumers will pay the same for less of the product. You know, we know what bags of potato chips look like. An example would be, say if there's a potato shortage and 350-gram bag of chips costs $4. Shrinkflation would see the size of the bag shrink to say 300 grams, but they would still pay $4 for it because they're going to keep the size of the bag the same. They're just going to decrease the amount of food put in the bag. We've seen this. We know how food production works. I go to a grocery store on a regular basis. How about you?
Was there something playing in the background?
No.
Was there music?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just my son crying.
Oh.
Because
I thought I heard something.
I think he must have had a dream or something, because I believe they should have been sleeping already. Clement said that he didn't know the severity of what had happened in these food producers being affected in Canada and the U.S., but said anytime there is a decrease in supply, there's always an upward pressure on pricing. I mean, thanks for throwing some common sense at us and, pretty much breaking down everything that we had already gone through. Thank you, Melanie Risden.
Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, right? So
we have all of those places, collapsing and going down. And then, of course, if you share this, we also have this going on.
Okay, hold on a second. What do you got here? What in the world is that?
I mean, we got this going on at the same time that all of the food
Money
packaging
printer go
is going down. So I mean, like, what the hell do you think is going to happen to all the prices here very soonly when the crap hits the fan? Oh,
right.
It's just the prices are gonna explode.
He's gonna be a popular young man one of these days. They're gonna be like, "Hey, I heard that little boy crying." So, anyway, this is from the Western Standard. This is still Melanie Risden. This is the other article that she had said that she had put up as well. I'm not going to actually read this article. I'm going to actually just go and we're going to listen to.
After an exclusive story looking at how a string of food processing facilities in North America have been destroyed, the Western Standard has found dozens more incidents around the globe. Food shortages are a growing concern globally and have been exacerbated by a string of fires, plane crashes, and explosions at nearly 24 food processing facilities across Canada and the U.S. And beyond North American food processing plants, there have been dozens more food processing facilities destroyed in fires and explosions in the last 2 years. Crews are currently battling a large fire at Riverway Foods, a sausage factory in the UK. 70 firefighters are on scene, as reported by the BBC. On Monday, 43,000 chickens died in a massive fire that destroyed 4 chicken houses.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said no one's going to know how the sausage is made now.
On a farm in the Dutch town of Houston, according to World Today News. In March, a fire at a poultry farm in India killed 3,500 chickens. According to Pippa News, the fire destroyed the entire farm. Another poultry farm in India was also hit by fire in March, killing 8,500 chickens. Times of India reported these fires may have been caused by a short circuit. In January, a fire at another poultry farm in India killed more than 2,500 chickens, according to The Print. In December 2021, 8,000 chickens were killed in a poultry farm blaze in Sri Lanka. News first reported the fire was likely sparked by an electrical leak. A massive blaze at a Northern Ireland farm killed hundreds of pigs in November 2021, as reported by Newsleader. No one was injured in the blaze. The Western Standard has found several more incidents of fires and explosions at food processing facilities around the world, which are included in our exclusive story. Although these incidents seem to be on the rise, fires in the food industry are not uncommon. A fire prevention company out of the UK said in a 2017 news article, fires in the food industry are a trend. A&F Sprinklers Ltd. pointed to several facilities being destroyed by fires spanning more than a decade across Europe, including facilities in Germany, Spain, and Belgium, each lacking automatic fire sprinklers, said the sprinkler supplier. It also pointed to sandwich panels, typically found in the construction of food processing facilities, constructed of plastic with inferior fire resistance that burn black smoke, making firefighting hazardous. The news article said 88 fires were reported in food factories between 2010 and 2014. A report from Dust Safety Science, a company recording combustible dust incidents since 2016, said in 2020, food products made up nearly half of the combustible dust fires and explosions recorded. An article on Graphic Products, a global provider of industrial supplies designed to improve safety on work sites, said the food processing and manufacturing industry is full of hazards. right from the machinery down to the chemicals used. For the Western Standard, I'm Melanie Risden.
Thank you, Melanie. So pretty much the article is that. This whole article is what she had just pretty much spit out in the last 3 minutes. So we didn't have to actually go dig through and read it all. You can see some of these images that are through here. This is the pigs one. I actually have several articles still to go through. Are you doing okay? You feeling all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to let everybody's that we're here and we're okay. That being said, while we're at this little bit of a lull, don't forget to go down, subscribe, share what you're watching, like it, ring that bell. When you ring the bell, make sure you hold on to it for a few seconds and click the all so you know when we go live. We have the tendency to try going live midnight Central Standard Time. It's usually 15 minutes to a half hour off for whatever reason. Can't tell you why. We just do. That being said, make sure that you actually go and you check AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com.
It's AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com, the most base t-shirts on the planet. You can get 15% off any of those lovely shirts in the store with the discount code Koolfrogg. That is Koolfrogg. Discount code Koolfrogg for any shirt in the store at 15% off. By the way, I will be making adjustments to my website as well as adjustments for t-shirt providers themselves, for like the actual t-shirts and so forth. So things may not be very functional for those who want to go there and maybe like buy one or something. It might not be functional fully for a little bit, maybe a week, maybe. I gotta like adjust things and things of this nature. So with providers and the website itself. So.
And if anybody hasn't already, they should actually go and check out his Rumble channel.
Yes,
quite the following, and he covers a lot of stuff that we can't actually cover here.
Yes, I haven't put out too much here in recent weeks. I've been very busy with things.
But the stuff that you have, you really can't, see it here on the YouTube. So
yes, and of course, all of what I have posted is still relevant to this day. So if you don't know the information about specifically pertaining to Russia and Ukraine and whatever, and you don't know what's going on, please go over there and look for all of that lovely information there on my website. Well, not my website, my Rumble channel. And then also look at Patrick Lancaster for the information as well. I also reference it in my videos as well for the Russia-Ukraine information that is YouTube Verboten. So anyways,
So the rest of this shouldn't actually take too long. It's the most is going to be skipping from one to the next. Most of these articles are fairly short in length, and they pretty much cover all of the little facilities that we've already covered, like where all these fires actually happened, what was actually involved. Like this first one here, this is 300,000 chickens killed in Van Boone Poultry Farm in Sega, Michigan. There's a couple little. You can see how massive.
We are unfortunately experiencing a barn fire today. Two of our cage-free egg barns are currently experiencing an active fire. About 550,000 eggs are produced here every single day. There are approximately 50 employees who work here. All are safe, all are accounted for, and very minor.
Every day that many eggs are produced out of this facility, and now it's been set ablaze. This is from Friday, January 3rd, 2020. So chances are this facility's actually been fixed and back up to operation or whatever. You can see it says started at 11 a.m. January 3rd. Firefighters were working very fast, effectively to contain the fire and make sure the loss is minimalized. But you heard what he said. How many eggs were produced? That's ridiculous. Let's see here. They're able to prevent one of the 2 barns in the farm from damage and saved 250,000 hens. So I mean, if they saved these ones, but they destroyed 2 other barns in the process, I mean, it makes you sound like there's about 500,000 chickens. The farm produced about 550,000 eggs a day. And some chickens produce more than 1 egg in a day. It's really what you feed them and how you take care of them. But like I said, the longest is probably going to be me jumping from one to the next, because it's not just the easiest thing just to...
By the way, what happened to your avatar? It changed. I just noticed that.
Oh, I don't know. I was changing things, trying to move things around, and that's what it is. It's just my K. Nothing against anybody. So then, thousands of chickens die in a massive fire at the Northeast Nebraska food plant. You can kind of see this blaze.
And look, it's at night.
Look at how
again.
big that is. Look at how big that fire is, man. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's more than catastrophic for a facility to go through some kind of fire like that.
I mean, it's literally toast. In fact, it's more than toast. It's even more than burnt toast. It's charred ashes of toast. Like, it's gone.
Right, it's gone. Work has resumed in this Northeast Nebraska chicken plant a day after a massive fire destroyed one of the 2 plant's newest buildings. I mean, how old are these buildings? It was one of the newest buildings that's out there, and it's still catching fire randomly. With
buildings just have the tendency to spontaneously combust.
Spontaneous combustion, yeah, absolutely.
They just sit there after they build them. A couple people walk in and work, and then it just like catches fire and just blows all to hell, and just like there's this giant mushroom cloud. Don't you know how this works?
So then let's see this one. 280,000 chickens killed in California barn fire. So we've kind of heard about this one a couple times. But yeah, look at how big that was. Holy man. That's massive. Multiple firefighters responded to a large fire at a chicken barn near Syracuse in Stanislaus County. The fire happened in a 3-story chicken house. A 3-story chicken house? Look how big that place is, man.
You don't have anything pulled out.
Dang it. I knew I was going to mess up at least once. There you go.
Hello
there. You go. 280,000 chickens killed in California barn fire.
One could mistake that for a volcano.
Officials said the chicken house is used as a house egg laying hens. So I mean, they just they seriously produced eggs. That's all it did. And it's now rubble. Well, maybe not anymore, because this is from April of 2020. Again, these fires didn't just us and be like, oh, yep, all this happened in 2022. No, they've been doing this for the last 3 or 4 years of more and more fires that have been occurring.
Yeah, and at the end of 2021, going into this year, they picked up like tremendously, to the point where it's once a week one is getting burned. And the question then becomes, how hard is it to identify whether or not this was intentionally caused or not? And it's like, I mean, for example, the fires of 2020, the wildfires that were happening in 2020, there were 55 fires that they were able, whether they were big or small, they were able to detect that, or not detect, they were able to identify that 55 of those fires, around 55 of those fires, I forget it was more or less, but around that number, 55 of those fires were caused by arson. One of which is a story I will never forget, that there was a guy that was going from St. Louis to Seattle, and he was some Antifa thuggy weirdo freak who was an environmentalist wacko, and you know, the only way we can get the attention of people to save the planet is to burn down entire swaths of land and forest. So he literally drove on the side of the road and like stopped the side of the road and like literally lit up the ground with fire. It's not inconceivable that someone would go around and do this. It's not a far-fetched idea. They did this with the literal ground in wildfires for ideological purposes.
And
55
you kind of caught from like the Western Standard article or whatever. She had said something about the plastics that are being used. It's not necessarily just the that it's just showing another fire or whatever is all I was doing. But she was saying something about the plastics that were being used, or not burning away or whatever. They're burning longer, which is causing these fires to actually burn longer and harder. I just couldn't imagine everything that goes into processing food. And
so you're telling me that they purposefully put inside a substance of plastic that they knew was going to burn a whole lot more dangerously, and they purposefully put it inside of all these plants, and then now they're all catching fire. And no, there's no fire suppressants taking place in some of these facilities.
I didn't say that.
Nothing sus, folks. Nothing sus going on here. Everything's fine.
Again, everything else that I had that I was pulling up here, or whatever, is really not anything other than the fact of what we already pretty much covered. And I wanted to show you pictures of fires, of things that had, how in videos of these fires. It's pretty much what we're going through here. Just a little 10-second little.
Beedo, 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 beedo.
It's a barn fire.
A bonfire?
Barn.
Yeah, a bonfire.
It says it's a barn.
Look, see, they got like the marshmallows.
This is the one out of Martic Township. 4-alarm, 42,000 chickens. Firefighters saved 2 attached buildings. So, but again, look at the millions of dollars. It appears the fire is caused by a suspected electrical malfunction. He estimated the losses at $1.7 million for the building, and the equipment is about $150,000 for the chickens. He noted that the value of the nearby building saved is estimated at $3.7 million. So I mean, when you start seeing numbers of what things cost to replace and what they were valued at through an insurance company, I mean, sometimes it just kind of makes you want to question.
But then you think to yourself, oh, wait, no. The Ministry of Truth is here to save the day. We have to follow along with them.
They're here to save us.
So when you think to yourself, maybe I should look into something myself and like kind of think about it for myself, You turn that thought off immediately because that is a criminal act against the state. You must follow and obey and submit to only what they tell you. It is criminal to think of things for yourself.
So then this next one here, I mean, because it kind of doesn't just happen in the United States.
Shut up, bigot.
This
You're
is
criminal. You're not allowed to speak.
This
You
is
thought-
happening
You thought
everywhere.
something for yourself. How dare you?
This is happening everywhere. So like this one comes out of the British Baker. It says major fire destroys Kent Foods warehouse. This is of September 2nd of 2020. So the Essex County Fire Rescue Service, this is England, was called at 2222 in August 29th of 2020. It was when this one happened or whatever. And it's not just happening here in the United States. It's happening around the world. Glasgow-based Kent Food supplies sugars, sweeteners, dairy products, oils, and fats to the food manufacturing industry in the UK and Europe. So, I mean, they go and they lose a facility in the UK. What is that going to do to the UK that doesn't have their own, they're just an island out in the middle of the ocean. They got to import most of their stuff no matter what. You know how dangerous it is to actually cut off all this kind of stuff from supply from one little country?
Blah.
It's ridiculous, man. Let's see. Again, all these other articles that I was pulling up or whatever, they're all... I found them off of one particular website, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. And it had lots of information. And it had a bunch of different options and choices for web pages. This is the one. This is the pigs. 2,000 pigs in a fire. Look at all these cages. It sounds, it's just like, oh, pig fry.
Pig fry, a giant pig fry. You walk past, it's like, oh my god, it smells like bacon.
Yeah, right. A Kill farmer said that he was devastated at the loss of over 2,000 pigs in a fire. The firing house in Glen Marshall Pedigree Pig. What's that?
Where is this located at? What country?
This is out of Northern Ireland.
Oh, Northern Ireland. So that's the place. Northern Ireland is a UK-controlled Ireland. So that's okay. We don't need pigs because all the Muslims are coming in and overrunning their country with sex trafficking and all the rest of it. So the hell with the pigs.
But you can see how big this facility is and what they were actually producing. And it's just gone. Again, this was back in September 2020, August 2020, when this actually happened. I'm not playing the music in the background because it's playing music. Oh, I heard that.
Huh? Heard what? What did you hear?
Something about a yawn.
What?
What?
I don't yawn. I don't know what you're talking about.
1,000 acres of corn in Bay County sabotaged to kill cows. September 30th, 2020. Not really a fire, but it kind of makes you wonder what other types of facilities are being sabotaged or used or abused and causing other shortages. So this one is this Gibson Township, Michigan. Police are investigating an odd case of vandalism in the Bay County farmers' crops, one which would have potentially harmed thousands of cows if not detected in time. About 4:35 Tuesday, September 22nd, Bay County Sheriff's deputies responded to a call placed by a farmer who owns a large farming operation in Saunders Road in Gibson Township. The sheriff described the complaint as a willful, specific intent to harm livestock. Really? A willful, specific intent to harm livestock. Now, why would somebody want to hurt livestock? What is that going to help them with? Oh, maybe they don't like eating meat.
Yeah, how about Extinction Rebellion? That organization.
Right?
That has some lovely connections.
I know that was kind of a strange little article that was in the middle of that, but it gave me the article, and that's what I was going to go. I was going off of. I'm like, all right, I guess we'll add that to it as well. So then let's see here. Dade City poultry farm fire likely killed 250,000 chickens. There's been a lot of chickens that had been destroyed within the last couple of years. This is to say is December 17th, 2020. Dated article. So most likely happened a few days before that.
This farm belongs to one of the largest egg producers in the country. It's a massive operation, and so is their loss right now. 3 huge structures went right up in flames, all with thousands, hundreds of thousands of birds inside, all destroyed overnight by this fire. A view from Skyfox overhead shows they're still dealing with some hot spots, but when firefighters arrived, they found 3 of these structures completely engulfed in flames, and you can see just how easy it would be for the fire to spread because of how close the buildings are to one another. Firefighters, though, able to stop that fire from spreading to the other structures, sparing 5 other coops, but those that burned last night now considered a total loss. And this fire posed 2 critical challenges to firefighters, because soon after they arrived, they started to hear blasts. And that's because propane tanks kept inside the coops started to explode, which kept firefighters from being able to go inside. That forced them to fight the fire from the outside, from up above and from the sides. The biggest hurdle they face there? Water, because the nearest fire hydrant is about 4 miles away. So firefighters had to rush that water in by the truckload, an effort that took the help of 4 different fire agencies.
We had aerial trucks up in the air, which is challenging because those trucks flow 1,000 gallons a minute, and when you have to truck in, the water, 2,000 gallons a truckload, that's what some of our challenges were this morning.
Tanker and ladder trucks, not the only big equipment that had to make their way down rural dirt roads early this morning. Firefighters also had to bring in heavy machinery. They're now demolishing the structures that were lost to the fire in order to keep that fire from starting back up again. The chief estimates that about 250,000 chickens inside those 3 coops last night died. The good news is no firefighters or any of the farm workers were injured here. In Pasco County, Kelly County.
And notice that
Fox
one was
13.
also at night.
Yeah. That just happen to always occur at night. No coincidence.
There are no coincidences. There is only what the Ministry of Truth tells you. You dare to question the Ministry of Truth? You go to the prison camp now. Stay. Off to the camps with you.
So again, this series of articles that I come up with, I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting information. Not all of it's exactly the same, type of information. I know we covered a lot of the destruction of fires or whatever. So look at this one. This one's from Modern Farmer. It says California wants to pay farmers to not farm this year.
Yep.
This is March 31st of 2022.
State and federal governments across
within the
the
last 2
country, not
months?
every state, but there are lots of states that are doing this, and of course the federal government's doing this to pay farmers to just up and not do anything this year, of all years, especially this year. It's
Right.
like, huh?
So on top of all the fires and all the stuff that's happening in all these food processing plants,
And money printer go burr.
right on top of in the money printer and all the other stuff to go along with it, and all of a sudden, what's this year? California farmers are given a financial incentive to not plant crops. And this isn't just in California that this is happening. Once we get into this a little further, you see that this is actually a widespread thing where it's the U.S. government is giving people money to sit on their ass and not produce food. There's going to be an awful lot of people that are going to be really confused here within the next few months on why they're going hungry. I just don't see it not being any other way.
Yep.
It reads, it says, much of the state is already experiencing extreme drought conditions as part of a $2.9 billion plan to try to keep water flowing in California rivers. The state will pay farms to keep thousands of acres vacant this growing season. Both state and federal officials, as well as some major water companies in the region, signed the plan on Tuesday. This hope is to keep upwards of 824,000 acre feet of water every year in the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta. The Capitol Press explains that 1 acre foot of water adds up to around 325,000 gallons of water, or typically enough to supply water for 2 households for a year. The most impacted sector would be the rice industry, as the plan would leave 35,000 acres of rice fields in the northern Central Valley, adding up to about 6% of the yearly crop unused. California produces virtually all the domestically grown sushi rice, and the Central Valley of responsible for the quarter of the nation's crops. The region is the second most pumped aquifer system in the U.S., with 20% of America's groundwater supplied from pumping Central Valley aquifers. A new initiative keeps wildlife in mind, as officials are looking to restore 28,300 acres of additional habitat for animals to keep revitalized populations of creatures such as salmon. So where's the money coming from? The plan was privately negotiated between Governor Gavin Newsom's administration and the water companies, the latter of which agreed for the first time to tax themselves to help fund the plan. The remainder of the money will come from both the state and federal government. So we all get to pay for it. With the entirety of California in some level of drought, nearly 94% of the classified as suffering severe drought conditions, critics of the new plan say that the goal is to save 325,000 gallons of water is not enough. The water amount accounts for only half of what the state's regulators said would be needed to fully protect the environment in a 2018 statement. One of the critics of the deal, Doug, a senior attorney of the Natural Resource Defense Council, called the plan a backroom deal, noting that the decision was made without allowing indigenous communities, fishing groups, and environmentalists to chime in. Despite getting the signatures, including those from major water companies such as the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, which provides drinking water for 19 million people, the Westlands Water District, the largest agricultural water district in the country, the plan still needs to run through the regulatory review process before it is official. So, you know, they're like not wanting, they're like, don't use water. Whatever you do, we'll pay you to not plant food so that you don't use the water. So then, because you're not using the water and you're not planting the food, there goes the main part of the rice that's available in the United States. So now the price of rice is going to go up.
I see absolutely no problems developing as a result of this.
No,
just
not a single
no
one.
problems at all.
So then, let's see, what's this one? Continue. Oh, sure. So this one was dated May 2nd of 2021. Do we know what administration was still going? Oh, it's the current administration that was going. The Biden administration pay farmers more money not to farm. So not only are they just doing it in California, they're doing it across the whole United States. The goal is to add 4 million acres of farmland to the Conservation Reserve Program, which takes land out of production to blunt agriculture's environmental impact. 4 million acres of farmland in the United
let's
States.
save all that farmland for when we want to give it over to like Bill Gates, or just keep it for the government, so then the government can do things with it. Because that's what we need in this country. Totally what everybody wants. We all asked for this. Again, we all voted for Joe Biden. We all asked for this.
Yep, all 80 million.
Yes, so none of
It's
you
ridiculous.
complain. None of you do that. Macron totally was elected president in France. Trudeau was totally elected the prime minister, and Biden most certainly was the most legitimate of all elections in human history, obviously.
See if I have anything else for us. I think I had maybe one or two other things left. The powder and bulk solids. They had a kind of a couple of interesting articles that they had. Let's see, should we share this? So it says employees were forced to evacuate the firm's production facility in Jonesboro, Arkansas, after a blaze started Wednesday. This is dated March 17th, 2022. This is within the last few weeks. Well, I suppose it's May. Last few months. A Nestle frozen foods manufacturing plant in Jonesboro, Arkansas is heavily damaged by a fire that started Wednesday and burned into the following day. Television news station reported crews were dispatched to the scene around 4:30 p.m. Wednesday and worked into Thursday morning to contain the flames. The broadcaster said workers managed to evacuate the structure without incident. Jonesboro Fire Chief Kevin Miller told Kate that the sizable portion of the structure received significant damage. Nestle announced the $100 million expansion project at the Jonesboro site in January 2021 to increase the production of the Hot Pocket sandwiches. The company opened the Arkansas location in 2002, shortly after it acquired the Hot Pockets brand. So there's a fire in, that's March 17th, 2022 in Jonesboro, Arkansas, right? So then the next one was this one. Gotta make sure that I'm sharing my screens. Fire breaks out in General Mills plant. Look at this, April 25th, 2022. Fire crews were sent to General Mills production facility in Cedar Rapids, Iowa for nearly early hours of Saturday morning after a blaze ignited the facility. Responded around 3:45 a.m. Crews arrived at the Edgewood Road plant to find hot spots by a vent stack in the structure's roof. Steam and smoke were visible near the area, and thermal imaging confirmed high heat below their position. Firefighters removed roofing material and found an active fire working its way through the ceiling and traveling with the vent stack. Interesting, huh? So then there's a little Facebook link from the Cedar Rapids Fire Department or whatever, where they actually put up. I don't have a Facebook account, and that's why I can't play these little videos.
Because screw Mark Zuckerberg.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So then,
Is my mic
next
making noises?
one. I thought I heard something, but like a little squeak or something. Is that me or is it you?
I don't think it's me. I don't know.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm breathing weird.
It's all your fault. Koolfrogg, it's all your fault.
Yeah, that's what it is. Auger ignites fire in seed storage silo. Look at April 29th, 2022. Firefighters were sent to the Spokane Seed Company processing facility in Spokane, Washington in the early hours of Friday morning after a smoldering fire ignited a multi-story seed storage silo. The Spokane Valley Fire Department announced, responding to the incident just before midnight. The fire crew at the scene did not observe any flames of smoke in the silo, but were informed by staff that the blaze was inside the container. The difficulty involving the fire was that that it was located in multiple locations of the origin of the auger unit that moved materials from ground level and deliveries to the top of the silo. Therefore, there was smoldering material located at the bottom of the auger and burning material that had been delivered to the top of the silo. Which, you know, if you can actually imagine what was actually going on, is that this auger is sitting at the bottom of this big silo and it's grinding up smolder, which is causing other things to start on fire all the way up the whole silo. It sounds very dangerous and you know, just very random, you know. Random fires. That's all they are. Just random.
Well, I think it sounds pretty cool. Because, you know, Bill Gates is a big proponent of, you know, arsonist fires and things, you know. Allegedly, of course. Right? Who? I didn't hear anything.
So that,
right, Koolfrogg? Nothing was said.
Yep, nothing. Not a damn thing. So then, this is actually, I believe this is the very last thing that I actually had pulled up. So this is powder bulk solids, again with a fourth article. So this is fire safety stakeholders respond to food plant fire rumor. Look at this, this date, May 2nd, 2022. This is, yeah, right, this is like up-to-date news. As rumors of the wave of intentional fires in the U.S. food plants brew on the internet, Powder and Bulk Solids asked fire safety experts for their take on the theory. Claims of suspicious trend of food processing plant fires in the U.S. continue to spread in social media after the theory was debunked last week by Snopes and the fact-checking organizations. Proponents of the conspiracy theory are reporting a message that more than 18 fires at U.S. food facilities in recent months represents a strange string of events. Here's what some of these armchair industrial safety experts are saying. As usual, no links, no references, just our statement. Gates can buy what he wants, but what processing plants have caught fire? Annual fire in a fire processing plant average 2 to 3. There's been over 20 this year, and we aren't even halfway through Q2. I mean, you know, these aren't my thoughts. None of these are. I'm just reading what's on the screen, and I find it kind of interesting that they have some very interesting thoughts.
Considering that we all love Bill Gates so much.
Right, on what's happening. And because we all love Bill Gates.
Oh, yes.
Fuck. You're telling me a food plant has as much danger of fire as a power plant, with 1/100th of the pressure, 1/4 of the temperatures, and only explosion risk being flour. I don't buy it. Not for a second. Says the Disinfo Cop 542. You don't buy it? No, I don't either. To provide our audience with public with some of the credibility perspectives of the matter, powder and bulk solids turned in the country's foremost authorities of fire hazard. Quote, the claim of the new trend of fires food processing facilities does not hold up upon scrutiny. Okay, I guess. If you say so, because that's what's the truth, right?
Of course.
Stupid ass
What
motherfuckers.
else would be the truth? Remember, play the Ministry of Truth's theme song, and you will understand. You are just wrong. They are always
You'll
right.
totally understand. I'm not even going to finish
will
this article
see
because just the
everything.
one sentence alone was enough for you to understand how ignorant these people are when it comes down to what's actually happening. They're not going to continue to tell you the truth. They're going to continue to tell you and push narrative any way they want. They're going to create things like Ministry of Truths and tell you what they're actually, you know, what to think, how to think, and when to think it. We're all screwed. Every single one of us. We're all screwed and tattooed. But, you know.
The
let's
only
just
question
keep
is,
on-
how bad is the screwing? How bad will it get?
I
Can
mean,
we mitigate
we see
as much as possible?
We see all these different places that have gone up in flames in the last few years. And it's just like, you didn't think, well, you know, this has happened in a couple of plants. Maybe we should go check all the other food processing plants to be sure that they're up to code for fire safety.
It's like the IMF coming out and saying, the IMF head coming out and saying, oh, well, that's the International Monetary Fund. Oh, well,
Right.
you know, we didn't really know what would happen if we printed all of this cash and just flooded countries with cash. You know, like we didn't know what would happen. Like inflation would be an end result. Like we weren't aware. Sorry. Like what?
Well, okay. Well, what do we say?
Screw Bill Gates?
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Good enough.
That, I mean, you know, we can go with that. I just don't want to live on this planet anymore. Because, you know, with the ridiculousness of how things are going, and I just don't see it getting any easier.
It's probably going to be tough for a while. But we can recover. We can survive it. So gotta know what we're doing, and we gotta let other people know what's going on.
What the hell's this? Did I miss something?
I don't know.
The gem state processing one. the one that happened in Idaho. We did kind of hit on it a little bit or whatever,
yeah,
but this
that
is
was
the
like
plane
the-
crash.
Right. They had like a couple of pictures of whatever. Right? I just threw that up there. I didn't know if you want to look at them.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, we did kind of sort of hit on it a little bit a couple times. We brought it up that the Gem State processing was an airplane crash. I really kind of skipped over it because, I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, what were they doing?
Well, they were trying to kamikaze the building, and it didn't work.
I mean, if that's fine if that's the case, I guess. But
Well, we're past 2 hours, so
we are. Yeah, we totally are. Everybody should make sure that they actually go and check out AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com, the most based T-shirts on the planet.
Yes.
And if you're not checking out AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com, you're not listening to what we have to say. You need to start listening to us. You need to start paying attention to us a little bit more. We need a couple more subscriptions. You know, something like 965. You know, somewhere around in there. If you like what you hear, even if you don't like what you hear, hit the like button. Just hit the like button. It totally helps with the algorithm. It pushes us out into the world. We get a little bit more, notification of, when things are happening. If, things are going to change within the next few weeks, and hopefully everything goes for the best. And I'm back sooner than as soon as I leave. Really don't want to be gone too long. If you feel like helping me out and want me to come back sooner, go down below, click on the link for buymeacoffee.com/Koolfrogg, and show some love, show some support there. Let's go away. You ready? Anything else you got to say?
Nope. I think that pretty
Check
much
out his
covers
Rumble.
everything. Yep, check out my Rumble.
Check out the Rumble.
AmericaShirts.
That Rumble channel is totally worth it. He's got quite a few followers over there, and there's a lot of stuff that we can't say over here.
Indeed.
Do it. Don't even ask. Don't even think.
Do it.
Do it. So I found it funny that I got flagged on this particular one episode, but not the other 3. So I'm gonna play this, and we're gonna go away. Say goodbye.
Later, peeps.
Later. Later.